Deborah Morwuka from Moving and Spiny. Last week we were talking about the bones and the joints in our pelvis. This week we're going to be looking at how the muscles, specifically the butt muscles, might be pulling the pelvis out of shape and tilting from one side to the other. And we'll also be looking at how that might be affecting the quadratus lumborum muscle in the back.
Here we can see the subject of last week, the pelvis and the lumbar spine, where we pay particular attention to the sacroiliac joints seen here. Now we're moving on to look at the muscles of the back. The trapezius we can see here, the latissimus dorsi and the gluteus maximus are the surface layers. But if we take these away, we can see the erectus spinae, and we can begin to see the gluteus medius sticking out and the QL muscle. And these are the subject of this week's classes. The origin of the QL muscle is the very top of the iliac crest. It also inserts at the 12th rib and on the processes of the lump spine, L1 to L4. Looking at the gluteus medius, this is underneath the gluteus maximus, and this inserts at the top of the iliac, as you can see, and into the femur at the greater trochanter bone. We'll start by looking at the gluteus medius muscle, which is responsible for adduction or taking the leg away and hip stabilisation when walking. You can feel it by looking for this knobbly part on your back as you bend forward and then sliding your hands outwards. And that's where the gluteus medius muscle is. It's often tightened and weakened by sitting a lot. It is the most common cause of low back pain, and along with a tight psoas, the weak glutes can cause lordosis as the pelvis begins to anteriorly tilt. This is also associated with a turnout in the hips, knees and feet, and is quite often a cause of knee issues such as patellar tendinitis as the glute shuts down. Now we move on to look at the large QL muscle. The function of it is to support everything we do, including the anterior tilt of the pelvis, side bending and hip hiking. It's quite often weakened through side sleeping, which involves a permanent hip hike, but it's also sports, housework, gardening and other activities where the low back is taking over other functions. We need to lengthen the distance between the two insertion points. It's associated with the trauma reflex since it's a one-sided imbalance and the symptoms are on the tight side. It equates with trying too hard in life. Our take-home message is to make sure we align the feet when walking, avoid side leaning while desk working, and use a good lumbar support or an ergonomic chair. Avoid correcting your spinal difficulties by overarching your back. Make sure in yoga that all your back extension work is done with the pelvis in neutral, and carry your shopping in 2 bags rather than 1. Sleep on your back with a cervical support and let go of trying too hard.